Thank you, sir. Actually, very good perspective, Mr. Bhadva and sir has mentioned, especially related to bonds, कि किस तरीके से now as RE companies are scaling up, can they start utilizing it. But I think I'll tell you a little bit of my background, and I don't know exactly what kind of a audience, but I see a mixed audience. Some are very young, some are more younger, right? Some are even more younger. So, and I come from a professional background, worked in the service sector in the US, came back to India, started my own venture, scaled it up, raised private equity, sold it to a large global family house, and started another venture. In between, raised different type of financing. So I can tell you what I have learned and what opportunities I see, how the markets are opening up in India in particular. And I think touch base with what Dr. Garg said and Mr. Vatra said, I think totally aligned. But in between what has happened, I also kind of become very surprised that in last few years, a lot of things have really opened up, which are supporting the new age entrepreneurs who want to come into the sector. But the challenges are there, but the scale is also coming in. So I think that's where, and please interrupt or if you want to ask any questions. Currently, one of the platforms which we are scaling up is a company called REnergy Dynamics. They're focused on aggregation of agricultural waste and solid waste, and we take that, process it into biofuels, in particular bio-CNG, and sell that bio-CNG over to oil and gas marketing companies. So in between, we have to look at from a company perspective. And previously, I had scaled up a company called SunSource, where we were focused on solar, commercial, industrial, on rooftops and solar farms. So I've looked at project financing and also from a corporate financing or a working capital perspective. So, and I think what we see is especially in this circular economy currently, if I see from bioenergy perspective, financing is still opening up and still challenging. What I see in last 10, 15, maybe 15 years ago, how solar was, and maybe beyond that, how thermal was. So it's still considered high risk. So there are a lot of challenges to raise capital, especially at the project financing perspective. So you have to do a lot of legwork, ensuring you meet DFI norms, ensuring that you have proper EHS. So I think one thing I would like to mention here is if you are building up for India, I think more and more as GST has made so much of transparency in the financing ecosystem, build up strong corporate governance structures, right? That will help you not only from financing perspective, but also scaling up the entity. In terms of innovative financial products, there is blended finance, mix of MES, long-term, right? There's ESG-linked bonds, green credit lines. I think what you should be looking at, I'm just scanning through my notes. I think the bigger thing what I see is we need to redirect the capital flows where it matters most. Basically, what is the end goal, right? So if I see opportunities currently in India, if I look at solar sector, right, there is Har Ghar Solar Yojana, where 3 kilowatt, 5 kilowatt solar projects are getting implemented, right? And then you need a working capital scenarios for the installers there, and all the way to large scale solar farms, right? And in between there are other entities. So for that, I think now more or less the project financing from the banks have become very standardized. And also people are looking at, from a corporate perspective, CGTMSE scheme, I would really urge for new age entrepreneurs to look at. Initially, basically it's a non-collateral based funding, right? Okay, initially there was none, then it's about 10 years ago, 50 lakh limit opened up. And currently the government has increased up to 10 crores of funding in that. So matlab ki if you're starting at a company and agar working capital chahiye, so you can go and talk to your bank, mostly nationalized banks. And now I think the large private sector banks are also looking at CGTMSE scheme, as long as you put in the right corporate governance structures, so you can get up to 10 crores of working capital limits. I think that is actually helping drive a lot of new age entrepreneurs, especially in the infra space, what we see. In terms of your project, if the project meets the project financing perspective, then there are multiple other options. You could go to the bank, get your, I think the basic core is go to the bank and try to see if you can meet the project financing criteria. Otherwise, there are multiple now AIFs getting set up in India, basically alternative investment funds. which are sector focused. If you are in, let's say, in renewable focused or infra focused or setting up a warehousing or data centers, you can find lot of these AIFs are there. They can either put in right equity in structures, mixed type of a structure based on equity, then you can raise project financing. That's other structures are there. I think that is one way. Other is talk to your regular bank. They may be able to support, in addition to equity structure, they may be able to do some sort of a mezzanine type of a structure. Basically, it becomes part equity type of a structure. And I think the potential is starting to increase, right? What we see, for example, in solar, we are, when the government announced a target of 1 crore households, they received already almost 55 lakh applicants. And already, I think what I understand is 11 lakh installations have already happened, and which is going to benefit multiple, about 4.4 gigawatts of solar capacity. So there's a whole value chain. Basically, you need installers, which require working capital. You need manufacturers who require manufacturing kind of a capital. Then you need implementers. So different type of capitals are required. So you need a very different type of a structure. So it's kind of all under sustainable financing, but sector has really opened up, right? If we talk about the goals, I think government already has a net zero goal of 20 by 2070, and if you break it down, by 500 gigawatts by 2030, and the plan is under for compressed biogas under Satat scheme. The target is to set up 5,000 of such CBG projects, and each CBG projects, even if it's a smaller project, at least between 10 and 20 crores. So you can do the math. I think we are looking at almost, I think it's about, the number is about $10 trillion opportunity. So it requires a lot of different type of financing, different type of structures which will be required, not only from international but from India. The good news is I think a lot of institutions, Indian institutions have become very receptive for financing green projects within the country. Then we have newer age opportunities which are opening up, or sectors opening up, for example, aggregation of waste or agri-waste, right? That's another bigger opportunity which has opened up, right? And for example, CBG is connecting those dots. You have waste, you have energy, and then you have income associated. So you can do look at that perspective. The good thing is I think the banks have also opened up from a perspective of cash flow based financing, both from working capital as well as from a project financing. I think it's becoming more and more prominent. I'm just giving basics of not going into much more fancy or much more structured products. The other challenge what we see is if you do it right, the opportunity is humongous in the country. I think what we see in our sector, at least in RE sector, now there are more opportunity than there are providers, right? I think if you build it up for the longer term in the country, I don't see, especially coming from our example, the financing will be a challenge. I think it will be first few years if you do it right. And I think somebody, I think my ex-boss in the US always said, your reputation is as good as your last project. So I think if your reputation really carries you forward. So if you do it right, the financing will open up, right? Be it any structured product, be it equity, be it financing, project financing, bonds, going to listings, right? There are so many opportunities have opened up. Now the government has opened up also SME exchange for the smaller companies, right? It's no longer listing on the stock exchange is reserved for larger corporates. But the thing is, the question is, if you're building it for the longer term, whatever you do, think it 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20-year thought process. Don't think it from a tomorrow or today, right? Because eventually, if you do it right, your financing issues will get sorted out one way or the other. But if you don't do it right, I think it'll be a bigger challenge. I think so. You have to think from a longer term perspective. I think those are my 2 cents. And multiple options are coming in. The good thing is, new age NBFCs have also started providing structured mechanisms for the right projects. But I think you have to be open about how the returns are. So be financing savvy, and then the opportunity is there. I think it's the right time to build for the India and the right time to be in India. I think that's what my message is. Thank you.